wins in a row for Port against Essendon. 69 points.
I thought they humiliated Essendon. They were taken to the cleaners tonight, no doubt about that.
This was supposed to be the edge. This was supposed to be a time when the talk was over and it was about actions. They've got a pedestrian list.
It's decision-making, it's development, and you've got to get to the bottom of it. They've never quite had the mental resilience and the drive and the ability to play consistently in the last 20 years. The club just doesn't have the feeling of what it used to have. There's just something not quite right in this football club.
I just think they're a mess. I think the Bombers have got so much work to do everywhere. The more you look at it, the more you think, you know what, this is a long way from the finished product, and how long is it going to take?
And the half volley, beautifully taken by Stringer. Oh, Hobbs almost got through. Hine, come on in. In you go. It's time to rethink the Bombers in 2024.
Good summary from there from Hutto. It is time to rethink the Bombers, Lordo, and we all were critical after round 4, but the turnaround's been magnificent.
Absolutely, Hutchie, and I think the week after that shellacking to Port Adelaide, it was Durham and it was Caldwell, and they went after Bontempelli and Liberatore and they hunted them in a way that they got the points, and then they've done it week and week after week. They've done it for 5 weeks now, so this is a turnaround, and I think the time in forward half, so everyone's questioned how poorly they are with their defensive actions, and their teams go coast to coast. But they've gone from 14th to 4th, where the ball lives in their front half now. That's due to their pressure from their midfield in their forward line and Mackay behind the ball. So it's only round 9, but it's a full credit to them. And I even thought, they're coaching against the Giants. Like, what you don't want to do is you don't want to bomb the ball and allow for Taylor and Buckley to set themselves and spoil. So I thought Brad Scott coached extremely well. He took down Whitfield and then he just lowered the eyes and never let them settle. And we'll talk about the Giants soon, but then they really got rattled, and then they became a bit of a hacking team. So they just were never allowed to set after, the halfway through the second quarter or just after half time. And this is what the Giants become. They became panic merchants in this game, and the Bombers haven't done this to top sides for a long, long period of time. So it looks sustainable with a good run with injuries. North and Richmond in the next 2 weeks. So they should be entrenched in the top 4 at the halfway mark.
Yeah, it was interesting. Footy clubs have long memories, don't they? And they got a hold of them, the Giants, late last year, Essendon. And Lordo, what did you think at the time of that performance? Was that essentially a loss that they may have needed to have? And Jesse Hogan's comments?
Well, just on that, I was told by somebody internally that they thought this was the best thing that could happen because Brad Scott was angry. So he thought the year had been okay, but then the way they played against the Giants, he was angry. And here's what Jesse Hogan said about that game against the Bombers, which was an indictment on them late last year.
I was getting played back shoulder, religiously. The 2 opponents I had, they were just sitting on my back shoulder. So I don't think I've had that many lead-ups in the whole year with what I had yesterday. So, I haven't played in a game with that much space ever. That was it. I haven't think I've ever played an AFL game with that much space, to be fair.
And then belted in round 23 against Collingwood, Kane. So it wasn't the worst thing to happen to them going into a new season.
He did that much.
And then Mackay came in.
Yeah, that's it, Caro. And I, at the time, I questioned, are you really going to pay that much for this guy? But his performance yesterday on Hogan, that's the Essendon edge for me. The plan that they had going into that game, identifying the key players from the Giants. One of them was Hogan, who had 3 touches in the second half. This was Kelly on green. Thought he did a great job. This is one of the toughest matchups in football. His ability to win one-on-one. And he's been a really important player for them, plays some wing, plays back, and here's Guelphy on Whitfield. Guelphy's a player who they have had set the tone for them by going to the opposition's best players. He's done Sicily before, and he got off him and kicked 3 goals. I thought he was so important for them. So the planning, the preparation, don't worry about the rough and tough stuff's great, but identifying the opposition's best players, going after them with a plan. They did it to 3 players on the weekend and completely took them out of the game, and it was significant preparation for that game.
The Giants have been aware enough, if you go back and read the cues, that they had some problems, particularly defensively. Let's take a look back at some of the interviews over the last month.
We're still not really getting our defence right at the moment. Our offence is pretty good. We'll take the win. It's not great stuff, but happy with the win.
Our contest, our method around the ball hasn't been good enough. Our defence overall hasn't been good enough. And, we touched on that in the meeting today.
But we do need to sharpen up our game and make sure that by the end of the season we're playing our best footy. Okay, and our challenge between now and then is to be able to generate enough wins to actually qualify for finals. That's our first objective, and based on our last month of footy, we're going to fail to do that.
And the skipper's off too, Toby Green, which just no one really saw coming because he's been so consistent, hasn't he, over a long period of time?
Absolutely, Hutchie, and he's symbolic of where the team's at. So they were in the game to beat Carlton. They couldn't stand up. They couldn't win that one. They were in the game to win this. They couldn't win that. St Kilda, if the game goes another minute, they lose that one, and they're beaten off the park by the Swans. So, yeah, they've got real concerns.